Olson. I work in the Personal Protection Group in the Washington office, and I want to thank Susan and her crew for inviting me out here, because any day away from the Beltway is really a good day. So, I'm really glad to be with you. My first SOD experience was back in 2001 when Susan invited us out, and we actually marched around to Ground Zero and took a lot of pictures. I was working back then for a state of Missouri, and I went back to my state forester and said, we don't want this. We don't want this. So I'm glad to be here and glad to be moderating this session entitled Diagnostics and Genetics. And we're going to go with Resmi Radhamony. And she told me that she thought her title was a little too long. She's from British Columbia. So she wants to just go with Genomic Tools for SOD Surveillance.
Good afternoon. My name is Resmi, and I represent the Cameron Group at EDC's Faculty of Forestry. So I mostly worked with the Arabidopsis before. Forgive me for reading it time today. My topic is genomic tools for SOD-Surveillance, and it's part of the Assay project, which is short for biosurveillance of Indian forest enemies, funded by Genome Canada and Genome BC, and grant material Professor Richard Hampton. So as we've seen today, invasive and emerging pathogens such as Phytophthora can irreversibly damage our forest ecosystems if prevention and management fails. So there are 4 known lineages, which are pathogen lineages of Phytophthora that has spread across the USA, Canada, and Europe, and 5 different migrations or intercontinental migrations are supported by population genetics and evolutionary studies. And what this means is that introduction of novel genotypes and migrations into new areas is very likely. So, and we've seen multiple reports of the SOD pathogen recently in the news. So the pathogen has unusual abilities of broad host range, high adaptive potential, and the ability to survive particularly in woody ornamentals in the nurseries. And the national and international trade of infected nursery stocks have contributed significantly to the spread of the pathogen among nurseries in North America and Europe. And increasing global trade and traffic and dramatic changes in weather patterns have aggravated the threat of new introductions. And the best way to face new introductions would be to detect them as early as possible and eliminate them before they have a chance to establish themselves. So early intervention is best practiced through vigilant biosurveillance, which is basically a system put in place to monitor and interpret data of biological threat using traps, baits, and surveys. Biosurveillance would allow us to rapidly and accurately identify pathogen at different life stages, track sources to identify origin and pathway, and it will also allow us to assess the risk of establishment. So correctly identifying them to the species level is the first critical step in ensuring biosecurity globally. So a skilled plant pathologist can often identify a pathogen accurately by looking at the morphology or signs or symptoms. But in case of an outbreak or epidemic, we need to act with speed and precision. That's why we need molecular detection tools. So the first generation of molecular detection tools were used DNA Barcoding, that is primarily uses universal genes or regions such as the ribosomal DNA, ITS region, and amplified using PCR. PCR is great because it allows, it is highly sensitive, easy to use, and low cost, and it is low cost, but it has the issue that when we might miss it and identify closely related organisms. So a problem with that is, like, for example, in the case of Phytophthora, with multiple lineages, it's easy to identify close-related organisms, and these lineages, as we have seen, they differ in their aggressiveness and mating type, and can call for different management practices. So in our lab, we have been developing second and third generation detection tools using the power of genomics. Next generation sequencing tools, or modern sequencing technologies, is a cost-effective way of obtaining sequences of whole genomes for eukaryotic organisms with small genomes, such as Phytophthora. So in Hamlin Lab has sequenced hundreds of global accessions of Phytophthora belonging to different lineages in a project that was led by Angela Dale, who is the scientist for the innovations. And she found that these lineages were more different than we thought, and they differ in aggressiveness and implement traits such as virulence and sporulation. So now we have all these genomes, now we can start to use them to develop better surveillance tools. So we use this, what we call the force of genomics. We use the GEDI approach, and it's short for Genome Enhanced Detection and Identification of Plant Pathogens. And a pipeline to do this was developed by the research associate in a lab. It doesn't look like that normally. So basically, this pipeline consists of 3 modules, and in the first module, genomes of the target organisms and closely related are aligned together, and then we cluster the homologous proteins so that we can identify those which are unique and those which are shared. And once we have these unique genes, now we can develop some very specific detection assays. So what's great about these unique genes is that they give a lot more specificity. Like if we use an universal target, such as the ITS, to create a real-time PCR detection assay to differentiate between closely related organisms, such as Phytophthora ramorum or Phytophthora lateralis, the differentiation is based on a few nucleotide differences. So it's easy to get false positives. So in a screen for environmental samples, while the assays that use unique genes are more specific, those using the universal genes can be false positives. And this is important for nurseries, because if they detect false positives, that means they have to adopt quarantine. So this is a figure from Nicholas' paper that shows how we go from identifying a candidate unique genes to developing these assays. So all these circles represent the candidate clusters of genes that are identified using the GEDI approach. And for Phytophthora ramorum, this means these unique genes are only present in ramorum and not in any of the other Phytophoras that were used in the pipeline. So for the lineages, the number of these genes are low because there is low divergence between them. And the circles that are colored, like the black and the oranges, are the ones that we tested for the real-time assay. And the black ones represent those that passed the specificity and sensitivity criteria that we used for the assay. So the GEDI approach has been used to create, develop detection assays for Phytophthoras and other forest pathogens. The advantage is that we can also multiplex these assays by homogenizing the assay conditions. Incubator is great because they are easy to use, low cost and relatively low cost, and most diagnostic labs can use them. However, they're so targeted that they only use a small portion of the genomes. So we know that there are all these unique genes, and it would be nice to be able to look at all of them. So that we use the targeted resequencing approach that combines the strength of PCR and next-generation sequencing. Targeted resequencing is basically a multiplex PCR that can target thousands of genes or genomic regions and hundreds of samples at the same time. So in an ion APTSEQ panel, so the targeted resequencing that we do is using the ion APTSEQ platform. And ion APTSEQ platform is basically panels that of oligonucleotide primers, which each set of primers will be targeting different genomic regions, and it is modular so that we can create different modules and pull them later together on a single run. So our first module can be only about identifying taxa, and we can have another modules for geographic assignment, and then we can have another module for fitness and epidemic traits. For example, there are my colleague of mine studied the genomic traits that may be linked to aggressiveness by comparing aggressive phytophoras with non-aggressive ones. And these modules can function as standalone or together, and we can also add new modules as we go. We're also working on a module to identify live and dead pathogens. So in our first panel, to identify Phytophthora lineages, we used 10 targets that were identified using the genetic approach. And we created about 34 amplicons to target all those 10 genes. And here is what you're looking at is hierarchical clusters on the top and left, and you see a pairwise comparison of different lineages, different isolates, and it shows you the differences between them in terms of nucleotide polymorphisms. White means there is less or no, and then as the color becomes bluer, it means they are more divergent. And we got the same topology as we get from comparing whole genome sequences using this small target of 10 genes. And we can even understand the differences between isolates belonging to the same lineage. So in order to test if we can use the SOD-Seq assay to identify remote lineages from infected tissues, we inoculated the different isolates or lineages and lineages onto rhododendron leaves, and we extracted DNA from the infected tissue and then used a test assay with them. What you're seeing is again a pairwise comparison of nucleotide differences between these extracted DNA from infected tissue. And as you can see that the isolates that of the same lineage are grouped together, and it also brings up the relationship between them. So the black region represents less than 15 nucleotide differences, and the blue is about 50 to 100 small nucleotide polymorphisms, and more than that is yellow and green. So it shows that Phytophthora lateralis is a lot closer to the remote lineages compared to Phytophthora fructosa. So our future vision for biosurveillance is involve using the samples collected from the fields to be tested, and then using our biosafe tool, which is SOD-Seq, to create a genomic profile. And then this profile will be compared to an already existing database that we created using the same tool. And this can be used to create, hopefully predict the species ID, geographic origin, and give a measure of risk of invasiveness so that we can take informed action for that environmental sample. So I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to give this talk, and everyone in Richard's lab. Ecoscope UBC for funding this project, funding my master's, and Genomic Canada for funding the master's.